Hello. I see some faces. Um, oh my gosh, let's get started. I am so excited. Thank you for joining. Please feel free to have your camera on. We want to see faces. Hi Sarah. Hi everyone. This is so exciting. Okay, so actually, before we get started, let's just settle in to this energy. I'm sure we've all had so much going on. We're kind of, Joseph is always with his baby. It's great. He's a super dad. It's amazing. So let's settle in. Let's just call all our energy back and be here in this present moment. Okay. And I have my Oracle deck here as well. I wasn't really going to do this, but this is my creator deck. And I'd love to get one card just to set a little bit of an intention for today. And I didn't even share I'd be doing this with Joseph and Dani, so
Yeah, carry on. You're good.
this is part of it. Okay, we have accept and receive. And magic happens when you most expect it. Okay, so we'll see how these two tie in, I'm sure, because it always comes back around. So accept and receive, magic happens when you most expect it. And I think today what is happening is magical in itself. We are talking all about storytelling, and if that's not magical, I mean, what is? So I'm gonna be hosting, but it's all Joseph and Dani today. So I'd love to introduce, and this is being recorded, right? I just wanna, okay. So Joseph, would you like to do a quick intro of yourself and just say hi?
Yes, me and Aki will say hi. I am Joseph Isosaki. I'm a global medtech entrepreneur. So I work in surgical robotics. I did that for about a decade at Johnson & Johnson before taking a crazy exit. All in entrepreneurship in Tokyo, failing at that, hitting zero with 4 kids, and then moving to Chicago and resetting. In parallel to that, I am a content creator and navigating a child who is having the hardest time out of most of my calls the last couple of weeks. I don't even know what he wants at this point. But I've done 2,000 plus videos across a wide range of platforms, 20 million views, 40,000 followers. And I've done 2 TED Talks as well. So I've done contextualized storytelling in a wide range of digital and in-person contexts. I'm really excited to share a bit of my best practices that you could gain that internet. Hey, you're good, Steve. But really happy to connect and get to know you all and parents at the same time.
Thank you, Joseph. He kept that pretty humble. When I first met him, I'm like, this man is incredible. So excited. He's a 2x TEDx speaker, which in itself, like that whole world of storytelling, I love it and I learned so much. All right, now I want to introduce Dani, who is our other workshop expert and guest. So Dani, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, Nav. Okay, everyone, hello. If you don't know me, I'm Dani. Oh boy. So I'm just going to let you know, I am working on an intense book at the moment, but it is off of so it's a sequel. So the first one is an international bestseller, and I've also written a children's picture book. I have been nominated for Best Rising Speaker for Women Thrive Summit, and I do a plethora of things. So I've always loved writing, and it's always called to me. So I've gone an unconventional route in my life, ended up having a travel blog where I wrote blogs, articles, wrote for magazines here and there. So I've kind of gotten my stuff all over the place with writing, with storytelling, all that kind of stuff. So that's me in a nutshell. Oh, and of course, how do I forget this? I'm a mom of a 4-year-old little rambunctious boy, and I'm American, and now I live in Sweden and have been for 7 years. But yeah. And thanks, Christian, for being here. Ian.
Yay, thank you, Dani. Both of you, Joseph and Dani, I'm so excited because everything that's we're going to be talking about today is so timely. So should we get started? Hey. I think Joseph will be sharing some slides.
Yeah,
Yay.
I was just getting to that. And friends, if you want to take a screenshot of this, this is a QRL code that'll take you to like a 2 to 3 minute assessment. You can navigate it at the front end of this discussion. And also at the back end, we're trying to measure if you feel any growth in your storytelling ability, moving from fear and doubt to bold authenticity, self-exclusion to self-inclusion, or procrastination to urgency, which are three markers of gaining confidence in your storytelling ability. So feel free to grab a picture of this. It's not rude to kind of work through that in the first intro as well, or you could do it at the back end. But yeah, go ahead. And Navreet, I don't know if you want this next page.
Yeah, you can go to the next page.
Oh, yeah, just feel free to direct me.
Okay, it's a little blurry, but I also want to introduce myself. I am no newbie to storytelling. I've been doing this, I mean, all of us as humans, the moment we are born, there's a story that's already being told. So I am also working on an intense project, as Dani had mentioned. Mine is a poem book, so using poems to share sort of my story, and that in itself, again, magical how that came about to be. But yeah, I am going to be also doing not also, but I'm going to be doing a 5-day challenge, and all of you are welcome to join. And this is kind of leading up to the book launch. So my book, If My Heart Could Talk, launches September 19th. And I'm just so excited. I'm excited, and this 5-day challenge will be doing yoga nidras, and kind of like the card that I pulled today, oracles, we'll be doing some readings and kind of getting ready to receive what's in the book. And I know Sarah's here. Sarah, thanks for the support. I'm so excited for you to dive into the book. It's something like this, storytelling, and the tips and everything we're going to be learning today with Dani and Joseph. Like all those tips I've applied, and I'm just so excited to be here with all of this. So let's get into it. I'm gonna give the mic, the virtual mic, to Dani and Joseph, and Dani will get started. So yeah, let's do this.
Sweet. Thank you so much. All right. So everybody, like I had mentioned earlier, the first thing I have on here, because that's the most important, yet I seem to forget it often, is I'm a mom. Oh, my little rambunctious boy. I love him. I love him. I love him. So the one thing I really want you guys to know about me is I love storytelling. It's in my bones. I've loved it since I was little. And I always would write these stories and then have little notes scribbled on the side or little pictures, and then I'd create something that isn't from this world. And I just loved doing that. But then it happened that an adult came to me and said, "But what do you really want to do?" As if becoming an author wasn't a real thing. And so poof, my dream went up in smoke. And I had to figure out what was I supposed to do with myself. And it took a long, windy road for me to finally get to where I am. And that involved getting a traumatic brain injury. So when I had that happen to me, I had to relearn how to walk, how to use my brain, and work on equilibrium. And as I was doing the healing process, I realized that I have the choice to decide what happens next. I get to choose. And when I learned that, oh my gosh, everything became so much easier. I mean, of course, it was still a battle to heal. It was still a process, but I felt like I was more connected to me. And, from doing that, I started working on inner healing. I started healing myself from the traumatic brain injury. I started looking into podcasts, and then I started going out of my way to reach out to them. I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but they helped me figure out that my traumatic brain injury story is a good thing to talk about. And then it was like time and time again, they kept asking me, like, why isn't this a story? And I was like, no, that can't be. I can't do that. Because I have this block inside of me saying, oh, no, that's not a thing. It's limited belief now. And then finally, I heard it enough. And then She Rises Studios publishing company reached out to me, or I reached out to them. I can't fully remember. And then I was like, oh, this is it. I got to do it. So I couldn't go back. And so I wrote my story through them. And now it's become an international bestseller. I'm super excited about that. And it's because I got out of my comfort zone and I pushed myself forward to get it out there and done. And I kept doing those podcasts, even though I kept going, oh, I'm not doing good enough. I'm talking too slow. Oh, my story doesn't matter. But I kept doing it. And that's such a huge thing to do. And then I found out about the story. Then I was like, oh, what next can I do? I can start speaking my story on stages. And so that's when I got and reached out to Women Thrive, got on Women Thrive Summit, and then became nominated as Best Rising Star Speaker. And that's because going out of your comfort zone, getting your story out there however you can. Did you have a question, Christian?
No, I don't have a question. I actually put my hand up.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so the Women Thrive Summit, I did that. So I just wanted to show you guys by saying all these things that our storytelling comes in so many different forms. It doesn't just have to be in a book. It just doesn't have to just be on a stage. I mean, we do storytelling with our friends and our family, and it is such a superpower. I see it as a superpower. The way we speak, the way we use our voice, the way we tell stories, it can change other people's lives. It can make a movement out there even, because if you touch enough people, guess what? It's a movement. But yeah, so I think that wraps me up in a nutshell. Oh, I almost forgot. I love traveling. That's probably another reason why I live in lovely Sweden instead of the US. And that was because of love. Fell in love with my hubby. He took me away and brought me to his country. But I wouldn't change it in the world because I love it here. I love nature, and this is my home. Yeah. Thank you all. Can we switch the slide, please? Thank you. So we are going to get into the why. This is something that I talk to all of my members. If I get a one-on-one with them, this is something that's super important, and I let them know that. The why for writing a story or getting your story out there in whatever form, this is so important not to forget your why, because it's that why that gives you your voice. It's your why that lets you be your true self, your true you, and get it out there for others to see, to connect with you, whatever it may be. And then this also comes to authenticity. When you're being true to what you truly want to do in life, you feel so much better inside. And it comes out. People see this. They're more likely to want to connect with you when they see that you're being the authentic you over being this false thing that you think people want you to be. And so when it comes to storytelling in the books, I tell my people that if you're having those days where you're having trouble writing, think of your why. Remember what that is. So like, for instance, I have my why up on my wall. And so every day before I start writing, I read it. And then I just think, and I'm like, yes, that's why I'm doing this. Because as I had mentioned earlier, the story I'm working on right now, it's so draining. And people are like, oh, why are you doing it then? I'm doing it because I know that this story is going to change lives out there. And it's also making me feel so much better being able to discuss my story in a written form and be able to look at it in a different perspective. I'm learning and healing even more from doing this. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. When you're writing a book, it doesn't matter what kind of book it is. If you're writing from the heart, you're going to start healing in some form. And it maybe is not healing as much as you had hoped for, or maybe you're healing a lot more than you had thought. It's different for each person. So it's not like set in stone that you're going to heal. It's just a very high possibility that you're going to heal when you are writing your story into a book. Can I get someone to switch it? Thank you. So there's a big importance when it comes to journaling. This is something that you can do anytime you feel like you're getting some kind of blocks when it comes to telling your story. So if you're going to be storytelling on a stage, if you're going to be writing a book, if you're going to be doing this in any format, it's good to come back to journaling as a way to reflect on what's going on within. Now, this is just a suggestion to journal, because everyone has different ways that they work on healing themselves or that works best for them. It's not one fits all. If that was the case, so many more of us would be healed and not having any issues whatsoever. But this is just what I give as a suggestion because it's worked for me. And I have many of my members that it's also worked for. So when we look at journaling, this helps with emotional release, enhances self-awareness. You become more aware of yourself. This increases your creativity. So, for instance, there are times when I just put pen to paper and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to write. And then I just let whatever flow out of me. And then sometimes it's a crazy story that I'm just like, where did that come from? And this also is a great way to help reduce stress. It's good to write about your feelings, the things that you maybe don't want to talk to other people about. You can write a letter to yourself, to your future self, to your inner child, however it works best for you. But these are all different formats of journaling. And then, of course, the most important is you get to reflect on those inner blocks. So I'm gonna give you a little story since we're doing storytelling. When I was writing my international bestseller book, I was about 2 months behind when it was due. And what I was doing is I was procrastinating. I kept finding things to edit here or there. And I finally had it, and then I started journaling about it. And I was asking myself, why am I doing this? And then I finally figured it out. I was scared. I was so bloody scared to get such a personal story out there, even though I changed the names and said loosely based. It was still my story, what I went through. And then when I finally realized that, I was like, oh, send. I clicked the button and sent it to my publishing company because I was like, I'm done. Yeah, we have such huge blocks around sharing our story. So, so true. And it's usually in those last couple months that it's kind of the hardest to get out there because we get in our own way. We find reasons to not do it. even though it would make so much of a difference for us to share it. Because something that I really love about stories is that connection. Like, you read a story, you hear a story, and you connect with it in some way. That could be maybe the experience is similar to yours, or maybe there was just one thing in that specific story that you're like, oh, I completely understand. And right there, you're connecting. And that's something that us humans love, is we want to connect with others. It's very important for us to do that. That's why storytelling is so important. um, all right, I'm going to thank you for being here. Have a good day. Okay, I am ready for the next page, please. Thank you. All right, so for everyone here, I have some journal prompts for you. And I have music connected to it. I'm not sure if it's going to work. We will see. But I just want you to choose either the first prompt or the second prompt. It will come back. But anyways, these prompts are just to help you connect with your inner self and figure out how you would feel, or what you would want your reader to feel when it comes to your book. So like the first one is, imagine my book is already out there, being held in the trembling hands of someone right on the edge of giving up. And then the other one was, we're almost there. Okay. And the next one is, if I had just one chance to speak to the world, to offer a message born from my pain, my joy, and everything in between, what truth would I want them to carry in their bones? So I just want you to choose one or two. We're going to give you 5 minutes. And if Joseph can figure out the sound, then we'll have sound. Then after the 5 minutes, we'll come back on here. And if you're brave enough, you can share. If not, that's okay. I did these prompts myself, and I can share mine as well. But I'd love to hear from you guys if you're okay with it. And I think we're ready to start.
And Dani, music's a no-go. I would need permission, and I didn't set up the screen share the right way.
All right. I see we have a few answers in the chat. We have Steve said for number 1, they would feel that they can start over despite previous setbacks. They would let go of demanding preparation. Demand and preparation, possibly. Reparation?
Reparation.
Reparation. Ah, okay, thank you. Demand and
Sorry
reparation.
for the typo.
That's okay. And then you said number 2, complete fairness cannot be attained in this world, but we can keep moving forward. Ah, I love these. Thank you for sharing. Ah, so how does that make you feel? Do you feel like, maybe my story does need to get out there?
I improvised this. I realized the challenge I'm putting on myself.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
But that's something I deeply feel. When I was younger, fighting for a better world was my full-time job. It was a complete idealist. And now I'm a wage earner and hoping to get out there, that there's more to it to just being just within my own family, my wife and kids, and we survive, and that's all there is. I want to be able to act upon this world a little more if possible.
Yeah. That's so great. I'm glad that you think that way, because that shows that you can. If you can think a certain way, you can make it happen. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it's huge possibility that you can do it because you thought it. So it just means that you got to figure out how to get here from to there. So that's maybe the scary part. The how gets a lot of us. But I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm kind of impatient and wanting some results to be already here and now.
Yeah.
But and writing a book is not about here and now. It's a long haul. It's a long process. So yeah. So anyway, I'm hesitating between things that would give immediate results and writing a book.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's. And I'm saying hi, meeting you for the first time. Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I'm letting others people speak.
Well, thank you, Steve. It was nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Let's see. And then we have Shirley. You said number 1, they had tears, laughter, and smiles, but finished with contentment of a happy ending. I like that one. And I can completely see that with your type of writing style. I really like reading when you post parts of your upcoming books, because there's several. I think you told me about 3 different ones. Maybe there's more. And then I see that you wrote for number 2 that perseverance and love conquers all. I love that. It is. Perseverance has so much power, and it's being consistent, pushing yourself even when you don't want to. That's so powerful. And then when you say love conquers all, I mean, there are so many out there that say love is what we have underneath everything else. It's actually our genuine feeling underneath everything. And when we have a lack of love, that's when these other kinds of feelings come. I think that's beautiful. Oh, and we can't forget the plot twist. Steve said, I root so much for my Iranian biomed tech colleague, who is actually an engineer, face all the harshness of immigration and high cost of living in Canada. Yeah, that's a toughie. Thank you for sharing. And then we have Chris with number 1. My hope is that they don't feel alone. Yeah, this is a doozy, and I completely understand this. This is how I felt with my international bestseller book. Since it's loosely based on my traumatic brain injury and overcoming it, I thought of the people that felt alone as they were healing. Because when you have a brain injury, you can't see it on the outside. It's the person that goes through it. They're pretty much going through it alone. The closest people to them might not even understand fully what was going on. And that's why I also decided to write that book, is because I wanted to connect with those people and let them know they're not alone. I wanted more people to understand and feel what I was going through at those times. And so that's the same with the book I'm working on now. It's loosely based on when I cut my ties from a toxic family member. And this is a topic it's hard. It's tough. And that's why I felt it needed to get out there. And so I wanted those people to see they aren't alone. They're not crazy. What they're going through, they don't deserve that. They need to love themselves and value having boundaries, even with family members. It's okay to cut ties from family members, from a husband, a wife, a daughter, a sister, whomever it is. It's okay. If you don't feel like you can be safe mentally, physically, whatever it is, you don't deserve to be in that. So I think this is so great that you guys have been putting in some of your inputs. Hello, Salma. Then we have Barnabas. You can have joy and peace in any circumstance. And when you do, you won't stay there long and can only rise. Oh, that one gave me goosebumps. Thank you for sharing it. And then Diana says, for number 1, it gave me light where I could not see the path in front of me. It allowed me to see my own light shining for others. I am human, and this is okay. What I thought might be my weakness, my shame, my failure, is actually what makes me who I am. And this is beautiful. Oh my gosh, you're gonna make me cry. That is beautiful. Oh, I'm so glad. And then we have Shiva. Oh, you wrote for both of them. Okay, number 1, life can be better. I can make it better. This book has a lot of positivity. Yes, that is so true. I know it's going to be amazing. Number 2, I get what I visualize. I can observe and create. Yes, so true. Then Barnabas says, number 1, faith in the now and hope for the future. God, you guys are going to make me cry for all these awesome answers. And then we have Edris. Your relationship with money may feel like a toxic romantic situationship, but there's nothing wrong with you. It's not your personality or your cross to bear. It's just your money patterns, which can shift. And I can help you to hope for better. Ah, amazing. Then we have, oh no, I'm sorry if I butcher your name. Raining. Number 1, I can overcome and I will overcome. I am not alone and I have support. Number 2, it's okay to ask for help and find the tribe you trust. Ah, love it. And that is so true, to have the people around you who you can trust and that are there to support you. So true. So if any of you have anything else to say, if you wanted to go in more depth with your answers, the stage is open. Otherwise, we'll keep moving. I think it's good. Yeah, thank you. So, let's see what time it is. Okay. So I have 2 communities. I know a lot of you are in my community, the Storyteller's Path. So if you feel like you need that level up, I have the Storyteller's Inner Circle. And so like that's where I have a system that works. It's going to help you get to the start and to the finish line with a book. And I want all of us to know that 97% of people that are writing a book never finish it. It made me really sad to learn this. And this happens because we either have lack of discipline, we don't have a good support system, have self-doubt. So when these are your issues when it comes to writing, like Nav says, having a coach matters tremendously. Having that person to help support you, have that guidance, give you a working system. Oh, it truly matters. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I know you can do this. Each and every one of you can get your story out there. It's just you gotta get out of your own way. And if you need a helping hand, there's loads of us out there. There's me, there's Joseph, there's Nav, there's others out there too. If we don't fit the cup for you, it's okay. I just want you to find someone that can help you, because each one of us are different. You might not work, might not mesh, and that's fine. It's best to find what works for you and who works for you. I think that sums up my whole spiel, and I'm pretty sure Joseph can take the stage now.
Awesome. This is so fun. And Dani, thank you for taking the time to curate your whole story and everything you've learned during your journey. It's just so exciting to hear these pieces of you. For context, everyone here, like me and Dani have been crossing paths for about 3 months trying to curate this event for you all. We both have very similar and yet divergent approaches to how we tell stories within our context. So it's really exciting, Dani, to hear everything that you pulled together, and I'm sure folks within your inner circle group can go that much deeper. So we'll be sure to follow up with you by email and help you interconnect into her ecosystem. So don't feel like you have to write this URL down or anything like that come in the days to come. So jumping into my side of things, I don't have some beautiful complex slides. I just have 2 pictures that kind of capture the arc of who I am, and then I have a digital whiteboard, and we're just going to sketch some stuff and do a mini mastermind about content creation and digital storytelling, and I'm going to improvise through it because that's my style. So again, my name is Joseph Saki. I've worked for over a decade in advancing different surgical technologies. I could tell a story about every single one of these devices beyond me, and it extends beyond the page. I've worked on so many different life-changing technologies across the continuum of care for surgery. So if your grandma's gallbladder goes out, in the past they used to have to cut all the way across her abdomen, but then with the advent of what's called laparoscopic surgery, we could enter through really small ports in her body with really small incisions and insufflate her stomach, which means like fill it with air so that we could work inside the body cavity and then pull out, and she could potentially go home the same day or the next day. So there's been a lot of advances in this technology that I've put my hands on, and laparoscopic surgery started in the 90s. And then we moved into robotic surgery, which is what I progressed. And one of the privileges of working for J&J as long as I did was that I had the opportunity to go on stage, play guitar, and give a TED Talk in front of 1,600 people at Asbury Park, New Jersey. And for those of you who like Bruce Springsteen, I performed on the same stage that he got his start at. The Johnson & Johnson team brought in like speaker coaches and Broadway actors and actresses to teach us stage presence and how to communicate succinctly, how to captivate folks. Oh, go ahead, Idris. Unless that was an accident. Sometimes we get the accident on the press.
I was trying to hit the other thing.
Yeah, keep rolling. No, you're fine. I'll keep rolling. So this is what kind of catapulted me into storytelling, was learn how to curate a 14-minute TED Talk. And this was all pre-COVID. And then with COVID, I moved into content creation And it's always been interwoven into my effectiveness as a global leader in medical device innovation. So I speak in stories when I talk with engineers and senior leaders about what we need to develop next, the patient we're advocating for, the pains they're navigating. All of that is story touching technology, which is something I'm incredibly passionate about. See, I think I have one. Oh, you had an epidectomy in 2023. It was so bad. You're in the hospital for a week. I'm so sorry. That's a bad appendectomy. It should not be that bad. Oh my gosh, several weeks. That was terrible. Yeah, the baby's okay. By the way, I'm parenting 2 kids in the back. Oh no. Right as I got started, he took over the TV. Give me 1 second. I have to fix Netflix or this will all fall apart. I'm coming, Emiko. It's going to be okay. I hope it's going to be okay. I have to go grab a PlayStation controller. This will keep working.
So the life of being a parent, not everything is going to be rainbows and balloons and everything.
It's like right at the perfect moment. We're good. So what I want to talk to you today, kind of my goal, is I want to dig into these 3 pieces. And I apologize, my computer keeps showing this weird error that's blocking it. But I want to help you all progress from this sense of fear and doubt about telling your story, because stepping on stage, I had to face a lot of that. And I will tell you, I'm not an extrovert. Every video I curate, every podcast I record with a guest, every time I'm speaking to executive leadership, there is always a layer of fear and doubt that I have to face on, is this the story to tell? Can I deliver it appropriately? But for me, I've always seen it as like the means towards an end, like someone needs to hear it. And finding a sense of bold authenticity is a craft you nurture for years. Everything that I can do today is a learned skill. It's not an innate ability that people do or don't have. So that's the first piece that we'll kind of go through. The second one is this idea of self-exclusion to self-inclusion, which might seem a little bit arrogant to self-include yourself, to invite yourself to somebody else's party or to the table. But the reality is there are so many factors that push us away from feeling like we have a story that can share, has a seat at the table, that there's this other LinkedIn influencer that's has so much more experience and they're putting out content. There's no room for my content next to theirs, or YouTube's so saturated. Why would I ever make videos in these spaces? We tend to crush our storytelling in comparison to others. And what I want to help you nurture is this sense of pulling up your own chair and saying, I belong in this place, and this is the story I have. And this story isn't for everybody, but it's going to be for those who receive it. And learning how to have, again, a confidence in those spaces. And then the last one is moving from procrastination to urgency, creating what I call like an artificial sense of urgency to make yourself continue to work the craft and put stories out there. That's why one of the reasons why 97% of people never put that book out, or why so many people have thought about, I need to start building a personal brand on LinkedIn or on YouTube. I need to start making content. I don't know where to start. And then you just keep delaying it and you don't actually get the reps in to get better at it. So with that, that is the end of my slides. And then we get to do something that I like, which is just scribble in chat. And actually, I'll share first my answer to Danny's question, which I thought was really profound. I did the second one. A truth that I would want people to hold on to is that they could discover a deep intrinsic sense of self-worth. And my natural engineering spelling's great. That runs deeper than the limiting perspectives others project on their lives. So near the end of my career at Johnson & Johnson, I applied to probably 32 jobs within Johnson & Johnson to continue my decade-long career, to stay in Japan. My family had relocated 12 times in 1 year to get there. It's a deep part of my personal journey as a father and as an innovator. And every time I ran into a closed door or a denial and saw life in Japan through Johnson & Johnson eroding, it was stripping away the sense of intrinsic value. It was taking my story, it was taking this power. And what I've learned over the last year of entrepreneurship and continuing to step out and adapt and fail and learn and serve and help is you start to nurture this like deep inner sense of value, regardless of what people feel about you, however they may judge you, whatever they've projected on you verbally or non-verbally what we infer they might be thinking about you. We realize people are very selfish and they're not always actually looking at you and thinking about you. We heighten those senses, and that blocks us from ever speaking or sharing our story in different contexts. So that was kind of my answer. But what I want to work through, actually, I'll give you a clean page. If any of you have a pen and paper, this is the one thing to write down, and you can draw it out real big and post it on your bulletin board or like in front of your workstation, because I think it's going to help you move forward in the craft of storytelling. This is something I've started to have a revelation about over the last 3 months or so. So this is what I would call storytelling authenticity. You don't have to be a good speller to be a good storyteller. Okay, so we're going to draw a Venn diagram. Okay, I draw 4 overlapping circles. They don't have to be perfect. They're always awful when I do it. I'll use a computer someday. So first circle, we're going to write do. And in the next circle, we're going to write feel. The third circle, we're going to write believe. And the last circle, which is often neglected, is emote. Or is the maximum for 2D Venn diagram? Thank you, Steve. Oh, that's good to know. So if we continue to move towards the center of this Venn diagram, to this sweet spot, this is where you as a creator and as a storyteller will have a sense of maximum authenticity. If what you're doing, how you feel about it, what you believe to be true about why you're doing it, and what you're externally emoting are all overlapped in the center, you will have a deep sense of feeling like you are living into who you actually are in a digital context or in an in-person context. What happens is sometimes in life, we have to emote differently than what we want to emote. There have been so many situations in industry where I can't divulge exactly what's happening to certain partners, and the relationship's strained because I can't be fully authentic and externally what I'm communicating. I know certain things I can't share with certain people because of different legality or business constraints. That's super hard. In content creation, it's the same way. We get to choose how much of our life we bring into a digital context. And we're going to get into like my arc of content creation. I just want to start with this principle because we're going to keep circling back to it. But the main thing we have to optimize around initially is actually putting in the reps. Barnabas, you got a question? Or are you also hitting random buttons?
Yo, no, I hit it on purpose. Yeah.
Yes,
No,
excellent. Let's go.
I was just wondering because, like, maybe I missed it. Maybe I,
Uh-huh.
mind wanders sometimes.
Yeah.
But like, when you were talking about like feel, do, believe, emote. Like, when you say emote, are you talking about like what I am expressing outwardly, regardless of how I'm feeling
Yes.
inward? Yeah. So
100%.
like when I do a YouTube video, for instance, I might not feel like it, but I pump myself up and I'm like, hey,
Yep.
so I emote different. That may be how I feel, but then sometimes my feelings will then align with what I emote as well.
Yes.
After doing it first. Anyway, I just wanted to understand what you meant by emote.
Yeah, no, thank you. So emoting is completely external. And sometimes this external proclamation is dissident or different from internally how we feel. Actually, I did a vertical TikTok video the day after I found out I wasn't going to be able to continue to work at Johnson & Johnson. Like, I'd applied for multiple jobs. I was going through the interview process. I'd done a contingent resignation, which meant if I didn't get this job, I would quit in a foreign country with 4 kids and no plan. Terrifying. And I went for a walk in the rain holding an umbrella and just talked through the decision, what I thought my next looked like, keeping my audience informed on like, this is where we're tracking. And I remember showing it to a colleague and she's like, how are you doing that? Like, how can you communicate and emote in a way that I have to know is different than how you feel? There has to be anger and frustration, but you're communicating vision and hope and passion. And my response, which I still don't always like this response, is like, the show must go on. And it's one of the strangest tensions of authenticity and content creation, especially with short form content creation, is good day, bad day, you still film, you still shoot, you still talk, you still put out stories. Because if you're motivated by how many views you get or the engagement, or if your monetization is going up or down because I'm monetized, or based on how you feel, then you don't have the doing, and you can't gain traction, and you can't grow in the craft. So there will be days with what you emote is completely different than how you feel. And what you do, like the actions of actually preparing the story, filming the story, editing the story, posting the story, will be different than how you feel on the day. And a lot of this has to be held in tension by what you believe to be true. This is the logic side of the big brain. Is I understand that if I put in 120 reps at short form content, the last 20 videos will probably be better than the first 100. And based on all the competition that exists in these spaces, I have to get above the first 100 videos to get to videos that actually provide value and speak succinctly and capture attention and help people grow and create intrigue and curiosity where they want to see the next one. I'm never going to get to that 100 to 120 if I don't work through the first 0 to 100. So that means I'm going to have to show up and feel insecure and uncomfortable and awkward and imperfect every single day. And it is incredibly challenging, but it is incredibly possible when you have the right accountability structures and people around you that want to see you be successful. It makes it less lonely. And that's the value of community. It's one of the values of Barnabas's community, because he has a AI content creation community. He's a member of my community on School. So like we're all community builders, or at least half of us probably on this call are, which is fantastic. So this is kind of our anchor. We're going to come back to this, but I want to bring you into kind of my arc of storytelling, because I think it'll help you reduce the pressure you may start to put on yourself. Like I'm on video 2000. I've had 20 million views. I've also figured out how to transition from chasing virality views towards building a very niched audience that has the capacity to pay for the services I provide, like actually leveraging content for business as opposed to content for views' sake. But I want to bring you into kind of the origin or the start so you can see the iterations and the shifts that I've navigated, so that you don't feel like you have to be there to get started, because that can also be kind of crushing when you're in the presence of people that have written books or done a lot of content. You'll start to self-exclude that, well, I haven't done that, so I can't do that. So I want to break through that. So we're going to do like a timeline, I think. Might be fun. Draw it in like 2 layers. So in 2016, right after the birth of my son, that was the TED Talk, and that changed my life. I had all the coaching, I stepped out, and then after this, all this traction went to nothing. Like there was no energy in storytelling. Periodically, I led worship at church, which is a different storytelling experience. Like I'm a musician, so I'm still on a stage, even though I'm always introverted and secure anytime I step out in those spaces. So again, this is a muscle that's trained based on a deep sense of belief that what I'm doing is purposeful in these spaces. And then something lovely happened in 2020 called COVID. And I was separated from my family in Chicago. I was living in Ohio. We're trying to find a way to connect. And we had this idea of like, what if we all bought VR headsets and we played Catan, which is a really nerdy board game that I love. You could play virtually. So my brother-in-law had a headset, I had a headset, my father-in-law, my wife, we had 4 headsets, and we would just play Catan around a table. And after doing that for a week or 2, which is pretty cool, my brother-in-law was like, hey, have you like thought about streaming this on Twitch? And I was like, what's Twitch? So Twitch, this is somewhere in like, we'll say April, was really the start of content creation. April 2020, I started live streaming on a platform called Twitch, where you could stream video games. And the engineer side of me got really excited about the craft of getting the right tech. You basically create a live streaming environment. People can chat just like what's happening here, but you have like emotes that they can give. Like there's a whole bunch of culture, and you craft a community digitally and create spaces that are interacting. And I did this for probably like at least 1.5 years. Also, this is like the season of no money. We'll add a money tracker here as well. But I was able to get affiliate on here. Joseph is very family. I am very different. So what was interesting about this is I learned how to improvise, because you never know who's in the room and what question they have and where you take that story. And as you're mid-story, someone else is coming in, and kind of the energy of like, I would put a GoPro in my head and walk around my kitchen while cooking dinner and just talk to my community. And I streamed relentlessly. I probably put in at least like 5,000 hours plus of just doing it without seeing the result. And this was again driving closer and closer to authenticity. When we were preparing to move to Japan, I was drywalling my basement and having a live stream and chatting with people about my career and what's happening with Japan. And this started the vision. It took about, we'll go to right here, of a family frenzy, which is something none of you know because this brand doesn't really exist anymore. But this is what our channel started as. We were bringing people into the frenzy of our life as we were preparing to move to Japan. At that point, we had 3 kids. So that's where all of the live streaming happened. And then somewhere around 2021, my sister, who was making a lot of money live streaming, she was like, hey, have you heard about this thing called TikTok? And I was like, no, I have not heard about TikTok. Tell me about TikTok. And that's where I started learning short form content. And this gave rise, we'll say this is 2021, somewhere in the middle, under the Family Frenzy brand, we had the emergence of the pretentious engineer. This is my fun viral stuff. Pretentious engineer who can't spell. And basically this is an archetype around the engineers that would look over your shoulder and like judge if you were doing the work right. It was very, it's sarcasm. So I do like a duet with someone's content and just provide trolly perspective around it. And it was really like angsty and rude, but like I knew that I wasn't always speaking correctly on purpose, but people didn't get deadpan humor. So this is where I learned how to get a lot of polarizing engagement, drove virality. So after around 130 videos, I had my first viral short. So this is somewhere in this is still 2021, maybe we'll say June. I had 1.1 million views, and it was me rapping a Dr. Seuss book while somebody else was playing Beat Saber, and the music overlapped with the rap, and the ran with it. I had another viral short where I showed there's something called the silhouette challenge, where someone would like stand in a doorway in a provocative pose and they turn off the light and it'd be like a red silhouette of their outline of their body. But I did that with a bagel rolling into a toaster, and that did incredibly well as well. So like I had fun. I playfully explored the craft. I didn't know why I was making this content, exactly how it fit with who I am. And I kept doing it. Eventually I had Dad Bod emerge somewhere in 2022. Dad Bod, where I did a half, because I'm in Japan by this point. I did a half marathon training program. I put a GoPro on my head. I went for long distance runs in Japan, recorded 112 workouts to make fitness accessible to folks who were heavier set, had pre-existing health conditions, or prior sports injuries. So this is now like long form and fitness. And then you keep going, we get to like 2024. This was when I moved into entrepreneurship. So this is all in. Today I have, these 20 million views in a community. I'm like, well, what do I do with these eyeballs? How do I have a product offering? This is where I dabbled towards a platform called School and completely failed at. It's a community-based platform. Many of us are school owners here. Amazing. Oh, sorry, Dennis. Yes, 4X marathon. Love it. Yes, I made it on my marathon. I made it to 22.6 miles, and then they canceled it for lightning. And then I've only done a half marathon since then, but I do aspire to a full marathon at some point. So I love that. So then I started community building. So what I want you to see here, and this tanked. So for 7 months, this was 0. And then I learned how to build from like Jan 2025 to present. And I've grown my free community, this has grown up to 180 folks. And then I have a paid inner circle community. And this has become profitable. And then I have a podcast called Sunday Sips. and I charge for that as well. So that's like $3,500 a podcast. So I've started to monetize offerings that provide value to the right people in my community. You have the free group, you have a paid group, you have a podcast. All of your content is niched around that. On LinkedIn, I'm niching even harder into surgical robotics, which is really interesting. Like I just had a podcast episode I recorded with a CEO and founder of a prosthetic company that adjusts the prosthetic fit based on how your limb volume changes throughout the day. Really cool stuff. So what I want you to see is like this has been an ever evolving process. There's always these do loops of iteration. You know, you try, you learn, you do it again. And if I had done this one TED Talk and thought that's all I can do, I never would have got to being a community builder with almost 200 people, doing focused surgical robotics podcast episodes that people pay me for with CEOs and company founders and other cool people, and getting to connect with all of you in this space. And it's through hundreds of iterations and continuing, I'll go backwards, but just continuing to show up regardless of how I feel, even though feelings are important and my feelings do show up in my content, learning how to emote what I think is essential for my audience and what is true to me in a given season, holding on to these really firm beliefs, and again, looping through these do loops so that you can have diligent, incremental improvement. Because that's how you stay in the craft of storytelling. You have to just diligently work the craft, incrementally make it better little by little, and have this growth mindset that you can actually get better at it. Otherwise, you won't continue in the journey. So anyway, I think that's all I have for like a mini flow through what I've done. Now, if you want to know how to make a viral short or anything like there's all kinds of pieces you could find other information on the internet or connect with members of this community. But yeah, that's a bit about me. And I think I have at least 20 minutes of margin for Q&A before I have to drop off my daughter on the bus. I will say for the Big Brain Club, I'm supposed to show it. I forgot to do this really quick because this is my world. This one probably. Nope. I'll find the magic bunny. Yeah, so my community, Big Brain Club, my goal is to help engineers. So engineers and global leaders are the left brain folks. Right brains are your creatives and community builders. Whole brains are parents and entrepreneurs. And together we are collectively building the lives we desire, living where we want, loving what we do, and being paid well for it. So that's kind of our common mission and vision we're all working towards. And then in the free group, I provide this assessment to help people have greater definition in their journey, greater clarity about what their next step looks like, and having strength and community. So I provide an assessment, and then members of our group will share what their next looks like that they're trying to find. So they'll share, there's Barnabas who's on the call. So Barnabas will share his origin state, where he's at right now in his journey, his desired future state, what he's building towards, why he wants this change in his life, what he's afraid of, and then his assessment, and the community can wrap around him. He's got 136 comments on this where he's adding timestamps of progress that he's experiencing in his journey. And then my paid group, Big Brain Club Pro, I do weekly office hour calls. I bring in a Big Brain guest keynote speaker once a month. And then I work people's lives in real time. I'm also working on, this is secret, I haven't launched it, but like a Big Brain repository. It doesn't even have a fun thumbnail. But I'm starting to figure out where do I want to like consolidate my knowledge on how to say goodbye, like how to leave a job, how to land a job, how to create content like an engineer. Like eventually this will all be in the paid community. I'm building it incrementally. But with that, we have some time for Q&A. So let me stop sharing the screen if I could find the call, and then we can jump in. And Navreet, I don't know if you have any thoughts that you would like to
thank you.
moderate.
Thank you both. This was so insightful, and I want to bring the crew cards back up. I think with the accept and receive, just taking in the knowledge and then applying it, you know, I think we're all pretty much at a stage where we have the knowledge, we know what we need to do, but it's that hard thing that we're not able to do, which is going within. which both Joseph and Dani shared, that process of going within. So yeah, I need to drop off in about 5 minutes. I'll share my info to join my challenge that I have coming up soon and pre-orders to my book in the chat. But thank you so much.
Well, nice.
Q&A. Yay.
Excellent. Yeah, and I will share links to everyone's communities, and then I'll share a follow-up survey you all can complete as well. I'm just sharing like where you're at in your storytelling ability and how we can help. But any other lingering questions or thoughts from the group? No worries, Navreet, when you have to drop off. Go ahead, Barnabas.
Yeah, I didn't know that you did a TED Talk before now, and I was just wondering, like, how did that come about and what was it about?
Yeah, so the TED Talk was called The Art of the Dabble. It came about because Johnson & Johnson, my son's wet and I don't know why, so it's concerning. Sorry, he's very excited about it, but I'm nervous about it. So it's called The Art of the Dabble. They were having a learning and development TED Talk event. So Johnson & Johnson had a formal TEDx license. So they were going to bring a lot of executive leaders and innovators together in Asbury Park, around 1,600 people, and they were curating the talk, so asking who would want to do this. So I did raise my hand and say, like, I have an idea. That idea evolved over a ton of iterations. I mean, I put probably 200 hours into prep for that talk. I have all of the manuscripts. I rewrote it about 9 to 10 times. But the talk was called The Art of the Dabble. So I was encouraging people to dabble or playfully explore their craft, so that they could continue to accelerate their learning and solve harder problems in other disciplines. So I started by playing Coldplay on electric guitar, and then showing how each instrument I've learned I could learn faster because of the previous one that I adapted from. And then I linked guitar string resonance, which is how a guitar string vibrates, to a harmonic wave resonance in a titanium blade that we use to cut and transect tissue. And then I went into surgical robotics and just showed how like learnings from music theory came into engineering principles that then led into surgical robotics innovation. And yes, we will have a recording, friends. So I will forward that out on email as well. I have lots of homework after this.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Dani, how did you get through like the injury? Like that's one thing. There's two things I'm thinking like I'm interested in off the top of my head. One is like, yeah, how did you get through like those first days or weeks after getting the injury? Like, and then also, what's your favorite places to visit in Sweden? Have you been to some amazing places in Sweden?
Oh, I love these questions. So the first one, I was actually helicoptered to Salt Lake City, Utah from Wyoming when the accident happened. And so I was in ICU for 10 days. So the first couple days, I have no idea. I was in a coma. But when I came to, it was in that first day when I came to that I was told what had happened. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, what now? And then I had this inner voice say, this is but a moment. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh my God, I get to choose what happens next. I get to decide what I do with my life. And it was from there that I decided I was going to get better. And like my whole journey, I feel like my ego was missing. So it was good that was missing, but it was also bad because I was frustrated. I didn't feel like myself fully because it was missing, but I was able to heal myself more because I didn't have the self-doubt. I didn't have like, I can't do it. I didn't have all that in the way. So I was able to get over that and heal a lot more. And I think it was after the first 2 years, then I felt more like myself again. Oh, and then the second one. What was the second one again?
Yeah, have you been to any amazing places in Sweden? I mean, I've been to Norway and it's incredible, but I haven't been to Sweden, and I'm just imagining there must be some stunning places there as well.
Ah, there is. Okay, so if you love nature like I do, you would love Glasskogen. And this is a nature reserve where you go there, there's no reception, there's canoeing you can do all over, hiking, there are little cabins that you can rent out. It's amazing, and you definitely are like within the nature, away from people. You have outhouses, like, yeah, it's definitely a bit off grid. And I love that. And then there's the tallest mountain in Sweden, which isn't that tall, actually. I mean, it is, but it isn't. And when we hiked it, it was amazing. It was, you have to prepare for the weather to change out of nowhere. So you kind of have to have a lot of stuff, a lot of gear on you. But it was a nice experience. And up in that area, it's super beautiful. There's a lot of national parks up in that area too, because it's more northern Sweden, not super northern, but just a tash bit more than, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds incredible. Like, you know, the place when you talk about Glasgow, I was like, I need to go, I need to go, I need to go. I'll let Judy or someone else go first, but I'll have a question for Nav if there's time.
Okay. Hey, Judy, you have a question?
Yes, I just want to pose this question to all three of you. From what I've heard today, I had to tend to my son, so I might miss parts of it if this was already addressed. But what would be a suggestion from each of you to go about? It seems that most of your stories were based on lived experience. And I was wondering if there is amount of research or things that we should do in conjunction, concurrent to telling your lived experience. Do you recommend us also researching on, let's say, for example, one of the topics that I do want to speak about is mental health for youth. Would you suggest that we do concurrent speaking on lived experience as well as doing some research to make it a more robust platform when we're speaking or presenting?
Can I answer it first? Okay, cool. So something that I love when it comes to storytelling is how connected you can get to the person that's talking about the story. Like, they're giving you their experience or stories that they've heard. Doing that and connecting it and then having the data to back it up, having these in conglomeration gives you a lot more authority on the topic you're talking about. So I highly recommend to do that. That's what I also tell the people that are writing books. If they're writing a personal story, they can still intertwine some of the data if it needs to, because then the person sees, oh, they're real. They're like, what they say or their tools or their techniques, they have the data to back it up. It worked for so-and-so and they're also doing it. So that helps give you that authority in what you're talking about. I'll let you guys take it away.
I guess what I would add is I would be actually more curious about reps. So I would want you to layer the research with personal experience in very small pieces. Because what I would, if you're academic in nature, you might have a tendency to go very deep on research. Okay, maybe not then, but for other people on the call, sometimes you can get so lost in preparing for something that you don't actually do it and present it. And what you'll learn is every piece of content you put out, there will be some tinge of imperfection in it. And finding a contentment with that, even when you're communicating in knowledge spaces, is very hard. But some of the leading voices in surgical robotics admit, like, I'm making these speculations. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. So even at the top, the experts don't always know. So I think learning how to speak in transparency, that this is my truth and my experience. This is the research I've done. Here's some value for you today. And keep being curious because I don't exactly know. That being able to have a little bit of that vulnerability with how you're communicating drives authenticity, and it'll help you get better at the craft. But it's nice to know you're not too deep in the science that you'll get lost in it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that question and both the responses. For me, what came through was just ChatGPT. As much as I don't want to involve AI, I have been really loving using that platform because it allows you to see yourself. Like, let's say you don't have someone in your life. This is going to sound crazy, but just hear me out. If there's not someone who's able to see you, like, we usually ourselves are not the best storytellers of our own story. I don't know, that's a personal thing. For me, I found it difficult because I'm like, who would want to hear this? Like, I don't think this is of interest to anyone. But then when you ask, a friend, or if you don't have access to a close friend, ChatGPT, like, hey, ask me some questions. Like, I want to get to know who I am. Again, I don't know how much you trust ChatGPT, so do your own research, but it has just given me all the right questions. And I can also share some. I'll put it in the Big Brain Light community, where these prompts that I use, they help me see a part of me that I would not have seen. And then I'm like, oh, maybe I should just talk about this. So I hope that answered the question, Judy. That's what I have for right now, and I have to hop off. So yay, that was perfect.
Yeah. Ian?
Hi,
Like
can
squeezing the
everybody
last-
hear me? Can
Yeah.
everybody hear me?
So nice to
Well,
meet you in real time. So we've been
Thank you.
connected on LinkedIn. Yeah.
I was very intrigued to join in this with you guys today. Joseph and I connected on the bigger old LinkedIn the other day, and he kind of said, I'm doing this, so why don't you join in? My background, like Joseph's, is medical device, product development, quality, the whole dreaded medical device business. And I worked in the medical device business since I was 18. On the engineering side, developing laparoscopic devices, sports medicine devices, orthopedic devices, you name it. 10 years ago, I switched over to the quality side of medical device. And back in February, after turning 60, I was laid off. So, having moved to Florida and leaving Connecticut behind, I thought, well, what am I going to do? So a whole bunch of people on LinkedIn got into the quality culture side of things, which I'm a people person, but I'm not a people person. I'm a very quiet person. I couldn't do any of those TEDx things because I would just freeze on the spot. But one of my goals in not necessarily writing a book, we'll get to that in a second, is just through auditing and the quality side of things in medical device. There's so many people that just don't believe in quality. They don't believe in communication. They all have their own idea. So my task that I kind of put on myself, because I have nothing else to do because I'm not working, is just to really look into the quality culture side of things and people's behavior, and kind of maybe publish something on LinkedIn that people would just believe in. So I might tap into you guys because that's my kind of goal. You've kind of given me some inspiration during this little talk we've had just now. So I just wanted to thank you all for that, and I will be in touch because I'm not a writer, I'm not a speaker, but this is just something that I feel like I need to do after being in the business for 41 years. It's just, do I look 60? Because I am. Well, I'm almost 61. Secondly, one of the things I took on myself, I'm an avid photographer. And when I was a kid growing up in the north of England, my parents used to pack my brother, my sister, and I in the back of a car in the drizzle with a propane stove in the trunk for sausage sandwiches and a cup of tea. And my dad would literally light the propane stove in the trunk of the car because it was raining so damn hard. But we'd go bird watching. And I'd be like, God, do we have to go and do this again? So since moving to Florida, I've also all of a sudden got this fascination with bird photography. So I also started collecting, cataloging northern Florida bird species to write a book. So within that book, I'm not quite sure whether I want to do it factually. Well, I would have to do it kind of factually, but I also want to put a story in on it. It's going to be a very thin, short book. But so you guys again on that. So I'm twofold here. So you guys have kind of given me some inspiration and forethought on some direction that I need to go in on that subject too. So that's me. I've introduced myself finally at the very end. And thank you very much.
Yeah, Ian,
Thank
it's so
you.
nice, yeah, to hear your story. And I will say early in my career, and even now, I always tried to find the 5 years out from retirement folks that had worked on products that built the business that I was stepping into to glean wisdom. So, Echo, I think it's Shirley or someone said in the comments, yeah, I'll be good. I got it. Yeah, I'm good. I'll get her. But just to echo, like, nice to hear your story. And finding the right means to do it consistently is incredibly valuable to folks, just what you know in the industry and even the birds and things that you're passionate about, and finding a way to overlap those or have them be dissonant from one another in different social media presences is totally possible. So just lean into the craft. But friends, I have to get my daughter to the bus. So my grandma-in-law just notified that. So I'm going to kill the dialogue, as rude as that seems, because I feel like we could hang out for a while. But I will take charge of getting follow-up links if you want to explore other people's communities and interconnect. There's other services we offer for folks who are trying to accelerate their journey. And thank you all for just taking the time to step out and learn how to tell your story. And we want to hear it in the days, months, and years to come. So deeply appreciate all of you. And see you on the next one.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
And hit the button. Let's see. Bye, everybody.